Recording in progress.
Kevin, you can go ahead. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is a hearing of the Committee of Adjustment for the Town of Grimsby. I'm just going to introduce the committee members and staff present this evening first. So committee members here, we have Dylan Bailey, if you could just wave for us. Thanks, Dylan. Danielle Beck. Hi, Danielle. Adam Mottershead. Adam. Herb Nobes, I believe, is absent this evening. And myself, Kevin Antoniadis, as chair. So we've got 4 out of the 5 members present. Staff members tonight, we have Walter Basic, Assistant Director of Planning. Walter. Hi, Walter. And Michaela Bray, Assistant Secretary Treasurer. Hey, Michaela. I'm just going to make some announcements before we begin. Regarding live streaming, members of the public are advised that our meetings are live streamed by the Town of Grimsby. Individuals and media may be audibly and or visually recorded during this meeting. As a reminder, all electronic devices are to be in silent mode during our committee meeting. I'll just outline the procedures this evening. So for the purposes of the Zoom meeting, applicants will be placed in the waiting room until your application is heard. The purpose of the application and relative correspondence will be heard, following which the applicant will be given the opportunity to address the application. Any persons concerned with the application will then be given an opportunity to speak. At the conclusion of the discussion, the committee will render a decision and advise of any applicable conditions. Copies of the decisions will be mailed to the applicant and or agent and to any other person who files a written request. To receive a copy of the decision, please email Michaela Bray, Secretary Treasurer. So new under Bill 23 now, the applicant, the Town of Grimsby, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and certain public bodies have the right to appeal either the decision itself or the conditions of consent to the Ontario Land Tribunal, OLT, within 20 days of the date of giving notice under subsection 17 is completed for consent, and 20 days as well for the date of decision for a minor variance application. Specified persons and certain public bodies, including public utilities, do not include an individual or community association. So everyone present here will be given an opportunity to comment on the applications being heard. Please address your comments and questions through the chair. Each participant will be provided 5 minutes to speak, and we ask that only the participants each only speak once. If you hear your comments being presented by someone else, please do not duplicate the remarks. When you're called, we ask that you state your name and address for the record. Agencies commenting or on applications may request that certain conditions be imposed. Voicing objections to just the conditions will not adversely affect the committee's decision. All members of the committee have viewed the properties on the agenda tonight and are familiar with the lands that are subject to the application. Do I have or I should ask the members first if they have any pecuniary interest in the matters before us this evening? No, and I have none as well. And I understand there is no request for withdrawal or adjournment. Michaela, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from December 20. They've been circulated. You've had a chance to review them. Were there any comments or questions? And if not, then do I have a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes of December 20, 2022? Just raise your hand for Adam. Seconder, Danielle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise their hand. Opposed, if any, was carried. Thank you very much. So we have 2 applications before us this evening. The first is A0123 78 Tomahawk Drive, and the second is A01-23. I think that might be a typo because they're the same number. Is that correct? 522 Main Street West. So we're going to have Michaela will go through a small PowerPoint and read agency comments and so on, and then we'll open it up to the committee members to ask questions, and then we'll ask members of the public if they would like to comment on it or raise questions as well. So we want to start with the first one. So we're going to just ask the 78 Tomahawk Drive residents or owner or agent stay on the screen, and then we'll put the 522 Main Street West agent or owner in the waiting room in the meantime. Michaela, turn it over to you.
Thanks, Kevin. We just had a couple people join. So Lisa, if you could let me know what application you're here for.
522 Main Street.
Thank you. And Michael Costa. I'm pretty sure his email said 522 Main Street.
He's also 522 Main Street, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
His
Thank
microphone's not working correctly right now.
Mute. Thank you, everyone. So the first application that we have tonight is A0123-478 Tomahawk Drive. This is a minor variance to recognize the widening expansion of the driveway. And the variance being requested is to permit a maximum driveway width of 6.05 meters for a lot with frontage less than 9 meters, whereas the maximum permitted driveway width is 3 meters for a lot with frontage less than 9 meters. Here's the site plan, the same one that was circulated on the application, on the notice. And the blue portion shows where the driveway was widened, so it's already taken place. Aerial photography to show the context of the neighborhood. It's slightly outdated as the expansion isn't shown on this, but it just shows the context of the neighborhood surrounding. These photos were submitted by the applicant. They show the expansion of the driveway. It's the 6 feet dimension up where there's that kind of bump out, and then it tapers back down to 3 meters at the street line. And then a photo from town staff just showing the same bump out. For correspondence from planning, there were no concerns. Staff believe it meets the 4 tests. Public Works, they had no concerns. Heritage, no comments, and the NPCA had no comments either. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. Is the owner or their representative here this evening would like to elaborate at all or add anything to what's been mentioned so far?
Yes, I'm Sapna Valley, the owner. And I was just basically, the expansion was done to accommodate more space for my family, also to allot more space for my special needs son. He was running out on the street all the time because it's a very busy street to go to the vehicle when it was parked on the road. And then he almost got hit a few times. So for safety reasons, this is another reason that we expanded the driveway.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee members first? I did see a hand. Dylan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have just for clarity.
Yeah.
So this is already, I don't know if this is to Walter or to the owner, but so this has already been completed.
Yes,
And
because
is the project considered complete, or is it going to be like curbing or anything else coming down to the
no curbing at all. It was already completed. We weren't aware that we were supposed to come to Town of Grimsby and ask for permission. We figured because we weren't touching the curb, the driveway company suggested that wasn't needed, that we could do the project. But after finding out that we weren't allowed to do that, that's when we had started the minor variation application. Because we had done projects before in the past, and we obtained the proper permits and everything from the Town of Grimsby. And if by any means we knew that was requested, we would have done so like we had did in the past.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'm just curious what flagged this, because I see there's a few other driveways on the street that have a similar driveway width. So
yes, it was an anonymous complaint, but it was brought to our attention that the next door neighbor had went to another neighbor's house a few days ago and it stipulated that it was him that caused this complaint. So I don't know what issue he has with it, but I actually had to notify the police on Sunday, and they were called to speak to this owner to stop harassing us. It's just becoming more vindictive now.
Okay. Is there any matter or members from the public, Michaela? I don't see anybody, I don't believe, unless
There's one delegate who signed up.
Josh Selverda?
Yes.
Josh, did you wish to ask questions or comment on the application?
Yes.
I've got your name, but just your address for the record.
Yep. So I am 78 Tomahawk Drive. I am the property owner, 76 Tomahawk Drive. I'm the neighbor of 78 Tomahawk Drive. I'm the current owner of that property. As to refer to the police complaint, there was nothing that was further from that standpoint. There was no issues or citations brought up, and it was just delegated that I shouldn't comment or talk to said neighbor based on what has happened here. Now, the main concern that I brought up as the complaint here is if you bring up back to the original property application that was given from 78 Tomahawk, picture 1 clearly shows the driveway paved past the property line, and in doing so also infracts the bylaw set out by the town that sets it out with not passing garage borders. Now, if said applicant would have applied for the permit, we wouldn't have had these issues, but unfortunately circumstances happen and errors are made. It's not a big deal, but the reality is the driveway was paved past the property line, and previous pictures, including the picture that was put in this meeting, shows that Ontario Land, my property occupies that. And all I ask, I have no objections to what was done with the driveway. I have no objections to the extension. I completely appreciate everyone's concerns and issues and have the right to do with their own property. No complaints. The only thing is that I ask is that the asphalt driveway was not paved past their property line and not paved past the garage extent. And unfortunately it was done. And that's kind of why I had to go through these avenues to have this meeting, because there was no due diligence taken within the permitting process. So unfortunately, that's where we're sitting at right now.
And I would also like to add that we purchased this property brand new back in 2001, and DeSantis was the builder of these homes, and they had asphalted everyone's driveway right to the property porch of the next neighbor. There's numerous properties in this neighborhood that are all done like that. We basically finished our asphalt according to the original driveway that was put in by DeSantis, not us. So this driveway has always been like that from our original purchase. I believe the owner next door is the third owner of this property, but if any issue is to be maintained, it should be with DeSantis and not us, because we simply restored the driveway to its original context of where it was flush to that porch line. We didn't extend anything past his property, and we were told as well that if DeSantis did all these properties back then, they would have submitted it to the town of Grimsby, and town of Grimsby would have signed off on that back in year 2000. So I'm a little unclear here of what was done wrong. Like, I don't.
So Dylan started to have his hand up, I think. Oh, sorry. So Mr. Selverda, what's your concern that her pavement is going in front of your property?
Yes, and I can understand her statement that maybe it was original and DeSantis has done it. But unfortunately, even whether DeSantis has done it or not, the reality is that asphalt was actually mine and on my property. And the fact that the driveway was ripped out in the first place was actually a destruction of my property without permission. And yes, she has restored it. And yes, prior to her paving, I had given non-consent to pass the property line and gave him very clear description of not to pass the property line. So I don't know what was previously done, but the reality is the Ontario Land Survey lays it out very clearly, is even in this meeting. And the asphalt is not to cross that property line. And unfortunately, if there was a permit pulled originally, then town council would have never approved it to pave past the property line. So I'm not asking for anything crazy. I'm just asking it to just be not paved past the property line. And unfortunately, I made it clear before it was done and it wasn't done. So that's all I asked to be done, is just to stay within the property limits.
Okay, but you said it was restored.
It was paved back to what it was originally.
Right.
And all I'm saying is
DeSantis had done.
Okay. Yeah.
all I'm saying is either said owner rips it out, or I will rip it out to make sure that I instill the same property lines as done, because I never wanted it to be done. I never wanted it to be destroyed originally, because originally it was torn up.
You got new pavement out of it.
I don't want the new pavement. I never wanted it.
Question, Dylan, and then Danielle.
Yeah, sorry, just for me to get some kind of context, because I visited the site, but I can't think of it. Could we pull up the more current pictures? Because I must admit, I'm not understanding if it was old pavement that has been redone, or if it's,
Yeah.
I don't know if it shows it in that, or if it is.
That's all in front of her property.
Yeah, that was like that before, upon the original purchase of this home. We bought it brand new. That's the way the driveway was done. Numerous driveways in this whole survey of Tomahawk, for it just finished them all like that. There's been no issues with other people's properties. They're all finished like that. And we basically did asphalt on top of that original driveway. It was all maintained to be the same like it was when we purchased it back in 2001.
Hmm.
And if there was issues with it, I'm not sure, because DeSantis did all of that back then, and it would have been submitted to the town of Grimsby to sign off on. So I'm not sure like what we've done wrong here. We just maintained and did an expansion on the other side that's not even affecting his property. We've done that. This is why he's done the anonymous complaint, because he didn't get his way on that side. When we continuously told him that DeSantis finished the properties like that, we didn't do this. It was done when they completed this whole subdivision. Then the moment we finished doing this expansion, which is on the total opposite side of his property where the pickup truck is, he started all of this, and we just feel that it's in retaliation because he didn't get his way.
Okay, so now I'm gonna just wait. Hold on a minute. I'm just have Danielle ask her question or comment, and then Walter from the town to respond, because the issue here is the variance for the parking on the other side. We don't want to get into boundary disputes between owners.
Exactly.
The two owners, if there's a survey encroachment, that's between the two of you. But I'm gonna where's Danielle? Sorry,
Yeah, Chair, I just wanted to second what you said. I just wanted to remind everybody that the issue here is the section where the truck is on the photograph, not the boundary dispute. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So let's stick to the requested variance. If there's an issue between the owners, that's between the two of you to resolve with the surveyor required. But the committee's here to hear about the expansion on the, I guess it would be the east side where the truck is.
Yes.
So Danielle, I can't see you. Sorry, it's got a small sidebar here.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was actually going to reiterate pretty much the same thing, but also add in as to the plans that have been provided shows us a survey, which is like a top-down view, to relate where that property boundary is, or where that party wall is, division between the two units, and where that relates into the front yard. That's not something that's before the committee to decide upon. So I'm supportive of the width. Visiting the site, there's many other properties that have expanded their driveways out in this area. I have no concerns with the additional width. It's keeping within the character of the neighborhood. It's minor, and I'd be willing to support and to make a motion to approve it when the time's appropriate, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the committee members? Again, sticking to the requested variance here, not the boundary dispute between the owners. No. Being no further questions, we have a mover and a seconder. Danielle, you're prepared to move.
Yes, Mr.
Well,
Chair, thank you.
Can I interrupt for 1 sec?
One short comment, sure. If it relates to the variance, not to the encroachment of the driveway on your property, that's something you're going to have to resolve with her and a surveyor perhaps, or maybe the town, I don't know. But the requested variance that the committee is deciding on is only the expansion of the driveway on the east side.
Okay, that's fair. I won't comment anymore on that. Just 2 points. With the city or, well, I can't say the committee, but can the city please provide the GPS coordinates in the Ontario Land Survey CAD drawings to myself so I can contact a surveyor to initiate the process to validate the property lines? That's 1. And 2, the driveway variance, yes, I understand that's been extended, but generally in doing a driveway variance, it doesn't really include the destruction of a city tree and the root structure that's beneath it to accommodate this driveway extension. So if it's permissible within the city, or sorry, town of Grimsby, I understand 100%. But in general standpoint, the ripping up of tree root structures, the tearing down of the drip line structure of a tree to accommodate a driveway structure to be permanently put in place. I'm unfortunately underneath the opinion that the city tree is actually going to be maybe impacted and maybe damaged. And I don't know what that impact would be towards the city or taxpayers of the town of Grimsby in the standpoint of that.
Okay, thank you for your comments. I'll let Walter respond to the first one regarding the survey. I don't know if that's something you normally would provide other than what's here in this display, in this diagram.
Yeah, I checked our files. We do not have surveys. We have I think it's lot grading plans that were submitted. I think which is what this particular plan that was submitted is based on. So that's a photocopy of a lot grading plan that was submitted, which shows proposed building location and property boundaries.
So the best we can do,
that information may be sufficient for a surveyor.
right. So the best we can do, Josh, is give you the name of the surveyor that worked on this, and maybe you can take it from there if you want to pursue that.
100%. If you can please provide me that contact and the information to do so, then I can facilitate doing surveying myself and maybe doing this outside of a different avenue as I have the ability to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we can provide you with a photocopy by email.
Thank you.
Okay. No further questions. We have a mover. Danielle started to make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll continue on. Thank you. As per the resolution, let it be resolved that minor variance sorry, I scrolled down too far, A0123 for 78 Tomahawk Drive to permit a maximum driveway width of 6.05 meters for a lot with a frontage less than 9 meters, whereas the maximum permitted driveway width is 3 meters for a lot with a frontage less than 9 meters, be approved for the reasons that the variance is minor in nature, it is appropriate for the development for the subject lands, and that it does meet the intent of the zoning bylaw and official plan.
Thank you. Seconder.
Can I have a comment about the tree,
Dylan?
please?
No, you've made your comment already. You had your chance. The committee took that into consideration. So we have a mover and seconder. Any further discussion from the committee?
I just didn't hear a comment
All those
about
in favor say
that's
aye.
all I'm asking.
Opposed, if any, was carried. So again, there is a 20-day appeal period, but the appeal is limited to the bodies that we outlined earlier in the beginning of the meeting. So thank you for attending, and we're going to move on to the next application.
Gary, if I could just help Mr. Salverda out. If he has concerns about the trees, he can contact our Public Works Department. We have arborists that can check the health of trees.
That's all I was asking. That's all I was asking. I was just abruptly cut off. So that's all I was asking.
And we'll provide you with contact information with the email that has the survey information on it.
Please, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
The next application is 522 Main Street West. We'll wait for a minute while the owner agents and members of the public get into the Zoom meeting. All right, ready when you are, Michaela.
The next application we have is number A0223 for 522 Main Street West. It's a minor variance to facilitate the construction of an addition for residential use. The specific variance they're requesting is to permit a minimum interior side yard on the west side of 1.62 meters, whereas 3 meters is required. The plans submitted showing the extent of the addition. So the addition is on top of the existing garage. So the variance is shown near the bottom of the diagram of 1.62 meters. Aerial photography showing the context of the neighborhood. So outlined in yellow is the subject site. So there's the 2-story portion of the building kind of in the front. And then to the top left is the garage where the addition would be put on. Photography just taken from Google Maps dated June 2022 shows that 2-story portion and then the garage in further behind. For correspondence, the planning department had no concerns. They're of the opinion that the 4 tests set out in the Planning Act were met. From the region, they had no concerns. Public Works, no concerns. Heritage, no comments. NPCA had no comments. Grimsby Power had no concerns, but if the applicants anticipate needing a higher level of service, just to contact their office early on in the design process to get that figured out. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the owner or their representative here this evening that'd like to elaborate on the request?
Yes, I am here.
Kathy?
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, what our request is, it's already put in there. So we will do whatever we have to do with the water, sewer, hydro. Planning department, proper architectural design. I don't know, whatever else is needed.
Okay, committee members, do you have any questions for Kathy? No? That's unusual. All right. Let's open it up to members of the public. Oh, Sandy. Can we just get your address for the record, Sandy?
Yeah, it's John Jackson.
Oh, sorry, John. I did hear that at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm using my wife's computer. It's 516 Main Street.
Yep. Go ahead.
So just looking at the diagram, it states that there's a restaurant going in there as well.
Kathy, can you answer?
No, there used to be a restaurant, and some years ago, 1987, it was turned into the hair salon.
Okay, so I guess the next question is, I talked to, is it Melissa?
Michaela?
Bray?
Yes,
Michaela?
we spoke on the phone. Yes.
Yeah, I talked to her last week, just kind of, I didn't understand what this was for. And you said that there would, that property could have 3 units on it?
Potentially, through the chair, I believe under new legislation that you can have up to 3 residential units on a property. I'm not sure of the details of it, but from what I understand, Walter can elaborate, is that 3 residential units would be permitted as of right in a lot of situations.
You're on mute, Walter.
Sorry, thank you. I don't recall, but I think the zoning is convenience commercial, right? And residential uses are permitted as accessory uses on
yes, on the second floor.
And I don't think there are specific restrictions as to how many residential uses.
Right, for commercial.
Yeah, it's a commercial, so commercial has to be on the ground floor, residential can be on upper floors. But as long as it meets the requirements, and there's sufficient parking provided, which is the case here, then it's permitted. So there could be more than 3 actually, potentially.
Right. So am I correct to say that the hair salon is still on the ground floor, or there is a commercial use on the ground floor?
No, it's been used as an office space now.
Okay. Office on the main floor, 2 apartments above?
Right.
John, did you have any further questions or a follow-up question?
No, my question was, I guess the conversation I had with the town the other day was that there's 3 units that could be there. I just wanted to confirm how many units were already on the property. So if it's commercial says it can go more than that, that answers the question.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I see a Lisa or a Michael. Oh, sorry, Dylan. Dylan had a question.
No, yeah, I guess if I could just get clarification then. So the purpose of this expansion, so will the entire development then be a residential? Or is it the lower level will remain
lower-
garages or some commercial
There'll
use
be
with
a garages with the storage, and to the east, the 10 feet, it will be used for a stairs to go up,
oh, I see. Okay.
because we're not gonna go through the garage and break the ceilings and that.
Right, okay. Sorry, just so I get more of a picture of what's
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah,
planned
and
on the property.
behind what we have, it's gonna be unused for now, or whatever, storage or.
Okay. All right, that's great. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? Michael? Costa? Michael? Oh, he's connecting. Michael? All right, why don't we start with Lisa? We'll go back to Michael. Lisa?
Yeah, I'm actually with Michael as my partner, so it's
Okay.
just his end, it's not working.
Phone. I'm just using the phone here.
Okay, no problem. Lisa, could we just get your address for the record?
520 Main Street.
Okay. Go ahead.
So you were saying that on the main floor it can only be business and upstairs is residential, correct?
Walter? Yeah.
Right. So I've noticed working outside
Correct.
that the main floor at the back side is a rental unit as well. So is that allowed, permitted? Because they were doing the renovations. And I know there's the guy that lives downstairs as well on the back side
Of the main building.
of the main building. Yeah.
Walter?
I don't know the status of that. Again, it could be legal non-conforming. I know the building's been there longer than the zone or former zoning bylaw has been around. So I don't know how long that unit's been there.
I guess this is Lisa now. My only question is, how does this addition to 522 affect the rest of us in terms of our properties? Will it affect our taxes? Those types of questions are the only things that I have.
It wouldn't affect your taxes as it only relates to the subject property itself, the improvements that they're making. So it wouldn't impact yours. In terms of other impacts, I don't know, are you to the east or west? Are you next to this garage? I mean,
No, I'm the other side of the garage,
okay.
beside the main unit.
Okay. Then I guess you would have to decide if it has an impact on you visually where they're proposing this. I mean, be one question or comment, but other than that, the property value would relate only to this property or the tax change, if any.
Okay.
Would be my comment. But did you have any other questions for us, Lisa or Michael?
I'm not sure if it would relate, but when it comes to these tenants that are coming in, living here for the past about 4 years, we've had issues with the neighbors, the tenants who live there, with harassment and foul language, trying to poison the dogs, our dogs here. So what are they like? Our concern is more people coming in and us having the same issues with this. So like, what our main concern is that. So like, are they planning on opening it up to have more residential people come in for rental? How are they going to handle this situation? Because even the guy next door has bed bugs and stuff like that, and we have concerns, right? Because I know it's spread out. So, what's the control on that?
Kathy, what's your comment on that as a landlord?
My comment on that is that we will be moving into the proposed area. We are planning to build a place for us for our retirement, and it will not affect them in any way. And actually, they're the ones who are breaking the rule and using our property as their parking.
Okay, John Jackson had his hand up.
Yeah, I was going to ask pretty much a similar question to what was just asked there. I know that we've been here for just over 5 years, and there was issues with tenants putting poison out. And I know before Mike and Lisa moved there was kids there. So the tenants were poisoning dogs, were poisoning kids. Again, there's been comments of bed bugs. I don't know about that, but I have heard that in the past. So we had an issue too. Well, we didn't really have an issue, but we're 516. So 514 on the other side of us was a rental property. We knew the people that lived there, not a problem. But the landlord was more of a slumlord, not a slumlord, but she didn't fix the place. When something happened, she didn't care because she lived in Toronto. So I'm just not really happy to have slumlords or properties that are not taken care of by the landlords. And when there's issues, and I know police have been called numerous times for the one tenant or whatever tenants are in there, and I don't know the Landlord Tenant Act, but nothing is being done about that too. So I don't want to see expansion and more rental stuff going in there if it's just going to be a money machine and they don't really care about the tenants that are in there and the properties around it.
Again, the committee's dealing with the proposed residential use above the garage, not enforcement of police matters and so on. But somebody else, Adam had his hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Actually, I was just going to say the same thing regarding personal comments.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments from members of the public?
Yeah, I have more. So
Can you keep it related to the very.
I'm going to keep it related. So you and yourself, Kathy, are moving. Yourself and your husband, sorry, is moving into that unit. You said, right?
I'm sorry?
Kathy?
You and your husband are moving into that unit as your retirement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I don't want to really put you out in front of everybody, but you know that your husband and I have had no differences here, and he's been extremely rude and unpolite, even when I introduced myself the first time. So you guys moving in.
Chair, could you please
Point of order.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Again, you want this expansion. I'm not trying to attack you and say no to it, but it's just.
But you are.
Well, I'm trying not to, but it is an issue, right? Because you're doing the expansion and you're going to be moving in and stuff like that. And we've had multiple issues, so it becomes concerning because we have kids here and a new baby. So,
Thanks for those comments. Anyone else? Any other members of the committee have questions? If not, then do we have a motion on the application before us? Adam?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Make a motion to approve, and it would be resolved that the minor variance application A02-23 by Ivan John and Katika Kathy, sorry if I get the name wrong, Islik, for 522 Main Street West to permit a minimum interior side yard west of 1.62 meters, whereas 3.0 meters is required, be approved. The variance is minor in nature. It's desirable for the appropriate development of the land, and it meets the intent of the zoning bylaw and official plan.
A seconder on that motion? Raise your hand. Danielle? Any further discussion? Danielle?
Sorry, yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a quick question. Just reviewing the region's comments, they note something about if there's any construction taking place, that a regional road within the regional road allowance, regional construction encroachment, entrance permit, etc., would be required from the Transportation Services Public Works Department. Walter, I just want to confirm that's something that would be taken care of through the building permit stage or site plan stage, whatever is required. It's not something that we would have to put on as a condition at this point in time. Is that correct?
That's correct. Nothing's proposed within the road allowance.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to double check. Thank you very much. So without conditions, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank
Just
you.
wanted to confirm.
Yep. Any other questions or comments on the motion on the table? All those in favor say aye, raise their hand. Opposed, if any, was carried. So again, there is a 20-day appeal period for those parties mentioned earlier in the presentation. That's it we have this evening. So thank you very much for attending. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Just before we hang up,
We're still recording, right?
yeah, Brian, if you could stop the live stream, but it doesn't really matter. I just wanted to confirm the February date. If
Okay.
there was an opinion for the 22nd, the Wednesday, or just bumping back a week to the 28th. It sounds like there was a preference maybe for the 22nd. So I just wanted to lock that date down while we were all here.
Yeah, I'd prefer that as well. I agree with